Welcome everyone. I'm Tony Lynam from the Wildlife Conservation Society, and today we're going to have an interesting session with practitioners presenting how conservation tech tools are being used together to solve conservation problems. And we're going to have 5 presentations today, and our speakers are here. So we have Lina Caro from the Wildlife Conservation Society Colombia program. Lina? Yeah. Xia Stevens from Panthera. Xia, over in the corner there. Oliver Adolph from the SMART Partnership. Oliver? Yeah. There he is, yeah. Luke Miller from Frankfurt Zoological Society, and myself. So we are going to, without further ado, hand over to Oliver, who's going to lead us off. Oliver. And this is the...
Okay.
This should work.
Hopefully.
Slides.
Let's see if it works. Hi, everybody. So I'm Oliver. I'm from the SMART Partnership. And you will see my presentation will be slightly different because I don't have any pictures of any animals in here. In a conservation thing, that's not normal, but I tend to do it slightly different. So what you see here, it's a totally different thing, but it in a way resembles what we are working on, integrating things, being part of a bigger thing, which is actually, in this case, a Rammstein concert in Munich, I think. Cannot really remember. So what I'm talking about is the integration of SMART and EarthRanger. It's still under development, so what I can show you is early code in a way that is developed by primarily the EarthRanger team and the Gundi team. And so not everything is working as is expected. At the moment, we struggle a little bit with the uploading from data from SMART to EarthRanger, but this is to be fixed in the next weeks, I think. So it's still not releasable code at the moment. So please bear with me that it's under development and it's alpha code. So actually, what do we have here? We have 2 extremely powerful tools, EarthRanger and SMART. SMART has a long history, EarthRanger is a little bit newer on the market, but they have overlapping methodologies and things inside, but they also have different things like EarthRanger, real-time monitoring, camera traps and everything, SMART on the side of collecting data. But we have a challenge. We need to get that data together because many of you actually probably use SMART and EarthRanger together, or you plan something like that. So these technology stacks should be integrated together. And we don't want to invent the wheel anew all the time because that's really struggling, and we don't want to invest money to do both things twice. It does not help anybody. So what do we have to do? Why integrate SMART and EarthRanger? Actually, by the way, this is Wacken Open Air last year. I always give you that. It's pretty simple. You can imagine that as all these tools we have here, it's kind of a band or a rock band or symphonic orchestra. They have to play together to achieve a wonderful concert, music, maybe not Stockhausen, but something like really nice for us and good for conservation. So we need to tune all these tools together, interface them, and get the best of breed, what we normally say here, and get these tools up and running and interconnected. So first step to that, to the Internet of Conservation. I don't know if anybody was at the talk of Jonathan Palmer. This is the new vision. Taking all these tools together, interface them, build a huge and broader thing like getting AI into that, real-time monitoring, proper data collection, and data analysis. It's a very, very powerful concept. And I think this is the future of technology in all of our environments. And we need to be aware that the technology is moving on all the time. So what is in this integration in general, it is planned and it's actually done in one direction now, or working in one direction, to have SMART, in this way, SMART Connect and EarthRanger interconnected using Gundi. You all heard about Gundi now by now. I don't go into the details, so I spare you these kind of technical things. They should, and this is the idea, exchange patrol and observation/report information together. So you can have an EarthRanger report pushed into SMART, or you have, for example, a SMART observation pushed into EarthRanger as a report. And the same with reports, with patrols, by the way. And to make that happen, it is important that EarthRanger understands the data model of SMART. This is a critical step. So what we see a little bit later is a representation of the SMART data model in EarthRanger when you enter a report, for example. So technically, it's pretty simple. We have these three components: SMART Connect, EarthRanger, interfacing through Gundi. It's just, it's internally a lot more, but you can think of that. So the developers are facing a very simple approach, a simple task, to translate the data and move the data in between. And by the way, this is probably only the start. We can use this kind of integration to other tools, like I think MoveBank is around and all these things later on. But at the moment, the task is for me also to test that because I'm more on the testing side, in this case, not on the development side. So the general workflow, it might be a little small here for you to see, is there are two tasks running on a scheduled basis. One is to replicate the data model from SMART into EarthRanger, to make it available, to make it understandable and translatable in a way into EarthRanger ways in a way. And then you have another task which is actually used to grab new data from EarthRanger or SMART and push it to the other system when it's flagged correctly. That's some technicality here, because you don't want everything to be pushed from EarthRanger into SMART or the other way around. Because we know we collect a lot of data, and just duplicating does not make really sense. So you flag in a way what has to go onto the other side. So let's see. You see, and this is configurable. Here it says every 5 minutes the data actually is exchanged, but let's see. We have to see that, and there might be a new technology around that actually pushes new data when it comes to the server and not pulls for new data all the time. It's way better that way, but that's future, so it's under development. So what you get here is really, and I should have done it a little slightly bigger, but you know, that's all this kind of information. When you enter in EarthRanger a report, that's for smart people an observation or independent incident. So you have an observation, for example, you had I use the data model of the line ranges of Namibia here, a line observation. You enter and get all these, you create a new observation, you flag it as reported by a user that is actually a ranger in the SMART environment. So you see then the user name, for example, Oliver Adolph, in context of the line ranger conservation area of SMART. So I'm the reporter, I enter the data, that's it, gone. I save it here and we are done. A few minutes later, at the moment, because of the schedule of these tasks, it will end up here as a SMART, in this case, independent incident. I could attach it to a patrol or making it part of a patrol. But that's, these are the details you can get later on. But it's very important to understand that this kind of translation and mapping of data is done automatically. And it's very, very helpful and, for everyone like you to use the smart data model in EarthRanger with this method. The same is done, I just have to check, yeah. The same is done with patrols. So you record a patrol with your mobile, or, yeah, I tried it actually with my laptop, but my laptop refuses to collect my location properly, so sorry for that. I cannot do something or showcase that, but it's in theory, it records the patrol, your track information, where you have been, all the observations, and every few minutes, this data from EarthRanger is pushed into SMART. So you get that on Smart Connect. And why is that important? Because now you can create reports or use your existing reports in SMART. For example, for your local reporting. That's very important to understand that this helps you and you don't have to change anything. You just get from a new source your data. The other way around, still under development, but will be the thing to do. Yeah, that's actually a view of the other way around, but it's not working in this current context yet. That's our sample CA in East Islands, I think, yeah. Okay, this, yeah. And for me, it's only, I told you, I am one of these guys who don't want to put animal pictures here. This is actually my son at Wacken Open Air this year. And you know, there's a wonderful saying from Lemmy Kilmister, sadly, long gone from Motorhead, the only way to feel the noise is when it's good and loud. That means, for me, you have to tune your instruments, and these are EarthRanger, SMART, Ecoscope, Akili, everything together, and then you will feel the noise, then you feel the conservation and the effort, and that's, you see how he struggled with his rubber boots in this mud, but it was great. Okay, I now hand over to Lina. Lina, thank you very much. We just need to, yeah, just remove that one. Sorry. Is it the first or?
No, I'll just
here.
Here. Yes, better. Thank you. Here. So thank you for being here and good afternoon. So I work with WCA's Colombia. I am based in Colombia. And today I'm going to talk about the different ways we are thinking on using SMART and EarthRanger to improve conservation projects in Colombia. We are still like in a planning phase, so if you have any suggestions or ideas, just, please let us know. So this is the first one. It is about using EarthRanger to monitor the Orinoco crocodile. And here in this part, we have a species that is critically endangered with less than 300 individuals in Colombia. So 96 individuals have been reintroduced between 2015 and 2023. And this is with the Wildlife Project, that is the one that is up there. So we have 13 individuals that will be monitored with GPS collars. This is a very straightforward example because, as we know, EarthRanger is very helpful for monitoring individuals with GPS collars. So we want to use EarthRanger to track the speed, their movements, and also do some data analysis with heat map just to know where the crocodiles are. The other thing that we want to use here with EarthRanger is we have a polygon nearby the communities, and we want to see if the crocodile arrives to that polygon and generates an alert just to reduce conflict with the community that's living around. Also, we want to allow other institutions like National Natural Parks of Colombia and universities to access the information from EarthRanger with the permissions that we can give them in EarthRanger. And we are still in this evaluation of the integration between ATS and EarthRanger. I'm not the expert, so I've actually been working with EarthRanger team. and Gondi to see if it's possible to integrate those colors, so hopefully we'll get there. The second example is about marine area in the Pacific Ocean of Colombia, and here this is called Golfo Triuga, and we work with the regional environmental authority, which is called Chocó. And here what we do is basically we have a local board, called Chocó, and other local stakeholders. They do the law enforcement and are responsible of doing all the patrols. And the idea is that they are using already SMART, but we want to connect SMART with EarthRanger so that we can see the alerts, but also because we want Skylight to be also seen in Skylight. So, sorry, in EarthRanger, so we can see the marine part and the terrestrial part in the same platform. So that's going to be very useful. And again, we are evaluating this. And also, just for the future, and maybe Oliver and the team, we are monitoring marine turtles and shorebirds with the survey plugin. So we would like also to have discussions about if it's useful to integrate this type of information with EarthRanger as well, and to see that information there. So I think we are not yet in that stage of integrating survey with EarthRanger, but it's some things that we need to discuss around. This is how you can see the general the view of the integration between EarthRanger and Skylight. So you can see the marine part and the information from Skylight, but also the terrestrial part. So that's where we want to get with this protected area. The other example, the third one, we work with Daniel and Dennis, and we plan a very beautiful model, but at the end we noticed that we need to change some of the things here because actually there were like a little bit difficulties in here. I'm sorry, the diagram just completely, I don't know what happened, but it's not the way it was supposed to be. But anyway, we are using SMART here to integrate the alerts again with EarthRanger. That's what we want to do. And we have reports in SMART, and we have a template report. So this is with Coralina, that is another authority in Colombia, and they have their reports, and they want us to give them exactly the same report that they have. So we did that. And the idea is also to use here EarthRanger, the app of EarthRanger, to do some ranger coverage analysis and using heat maps as well, and also using Skylight and Global Forest Watch, integrate them with EarthRanger and use a little bit of Tableau. Yeah, so it was a whole thing, and adding in all to the context of EarthRanger, having everything there, Global Forest Watch, Skylight, and SMART together. However, so we think in this plan, and in the reality was that Coralina, the region charge of using both tools. So we had to think about more on that. So we came back last month and asked them if there can be, like in the team, this person, and we found the person. The second, let's say, lesson is that we need to understand that it's not only about one workshop and then we go, but it's a process. So we had to follow up on the process. So we had also to go back and understand again how to use SMART and EarthRanger together. And also the last one, discussing with Jonathan and the EarthRanger team, is that we also need baby steps. So the model that I showed you before became this one, where actually we are going to just to start using SMART for all the patrols and the reports, and EarthRanger only for heat maps. And then in the future, then we can do the integration. But first, we need that the authority use these baby steps so that we can go forward. Another example is La Carranchina Private Reserve. This is a WCS reserve, and the good thing here is that we can test everything that can be helpful for the conservation of La Carranchina and the protected area. So in this one, we want to actually implement Starlink, so to have internet connection and actually do the integration between those tools, because without the internet connection, we can't do this. And also then we are now using SMART for patrols and for recording individuals of different turtle species here, and we are using queries to take out the information from there. So what we want to do next is, again, integrate this information with EarthRanger, but also using, this is called VHF transmitters, where we want to put them on the turtle and then integrate this information with EarthRanger, as well as Global Forest Watch and NASA firms for fires. So again, we have everything in EarthRanger working, and then in that way we can see the information and try to discuss more about this very important protected area. And the last one is, I think, is the complex one, but also is the most common one that we have usually, at least in our Colombian conservation underground projects. We use a lot Miradi for planning our projects and our protected areas. So we usually have, this is like the model where you have the targets, conservation targets and human well-being targets, you have the threats, and you have some of the strategies that you are implementing. For all of these, we use it's like an indicator model where we have benefit, state, pressure, and performance and response indicators. The problem or the challenge is that we need we have a lot of information in each. So for the indicators, we need to collect a lot of information, yeah? I'm not going to go into details here, but anyway, some of these have to be with occupancy models for the target species, or for instance, using camera traps, or just questionnaires for social aspects in the protected area, livelihood surveys, many things. So here, depending on the type of information, we need to use different type of tools. For instance, we're using Covo Toolbox, you can see again SMART there, EarthRanger, yeah, camera traps, wildlife insights, and some of these tools are not integrated yet, and probably we don't need to integrate them, yeah, but still we need to find a way where we can actually have a system to put everything together, yeah? And this is our question here, so how to put this together, and again, how to make decisions with all the information, especially when we have teams in the protected areas. This is with the Carter, that they change every year the people that is in the institution. So we need to actually make sure that the information is available. So we are actually doing a great work with EarthRanger and SMART, because everything is in Connect and you can access to the information and it's all there. But still, for instance, eBird, Arbimon, Covo Toolbox are other tools that we are using, and we need to see how this can work. So those are the examples of Colombia. Thank you.
Thank you, Lina. So from Latin America, we're going to Asia, and I'm going to present 3 case studies, one from the deciduous dipterocarp forests of Cambodia, one from the Gobi region in South Mongolia, and one from the tropical reefs of the Philippines. So the conservation challenges that we face are quite typical for this region. So there's a high level of forest and wildlife and fisheries crime, there's weak environmental governance, limited capacity for conservation, especially in certain countries, and there's some very remote areas that require special approaches to do patrolling and safety and security. So I'm going to talk about a project that has that's been implemented in Cambodia. And I'm going to talk all throughout this presentation about how we integrate the tools and how we put the tech in the hands of the people who need it the most, the rangers, the communities, biodiversity researchers. So I'm going to show these examples from different environments. I'm going to show examples of where the tech tools are being used together and they're already integrated. One place where we're talking about, we're just starting with an integration, and another site where we're not integrated yet, but we'd like to be in the near future. So the first example, which has actually been presented in quite detail by my colleague Gong Sopol Rachana from the WCS Cambodia program, is the example of the protected area monitoring platform in Cambodia. And here SMART and EarthRanger are integrated, so it's possible for managers to see an EarthRanger dashboard where SMART patrols have been pulled in. And the SMART patrols can be seen alongside Global Forest Watch alerts, GLAD alerts, and VIIRS fire alerts. So it's possible to plan patrols given information on where fire is happening. Patrol plans can be created and teams can be sent out to address what's happening on the ground. And this is actually operational, and it's in its, I think it's its second year of operation. We're planning to also expand this integration to another landscape in the eastern plains of Cambodia. As a result of integrating these two amazing tools, we've got this really rich understanding of what is happening across this very large landscape. So we know where deforestation is occurring, and we know where other human activities are happening, and it's possible to define hotspots that are in need of addressing by community-based conservation approaches and law enforcement. So I'm going to go now to the South Gobi region, which is a very special part of Central Asia, where we're working with the government to protect endangered ungulates, including hulan, agali, gazelle, saiga. And the idea of the project is to reduce poaching and to reduce wildlife trade. There's cross-border trade with China. There's also illegal mining occurring in this landscape. And one of the big problems for these ungulates, because they're migratory, they're moving large distances between seasons, is the creation of roads and railways, this linear infrastructure that creates barriers, and that affects the movements of these animals. And we also want to ensure the safety of our field teams so that we know where they are, and if there's something that happens to the teams, we know to send out somebody to help them out. So the region that I'm talking about is this region in the south of the map here, where you see these green protected areas. And we started in 2015 by implementing SMART in the Small Gobi strictly protected area, and now that has been expanded to 8 reserves. So there are SMART implementations in all of those sites, and we desire to visualize the animal movements. So we have animals that have been collared. We have gazelles and we have hulan that have been collared, and what we desire to do is to take that information or that data and import it into a platform where we can see it, where we can then see where the animals are, and then we can direct ranger patrols to go and look after those populations. So we're planning to integrate the system by bringing in Gundi, and we've talked now with Bruce and the team about setting that up. So that's in progress. And the last example I want to share is the example of a project in the Bohol Seascape, an important area. It's a really important fishing ground, and it's a major biodiversity hotspot for marine megafauna. So the threats here include illegal fishing, but also many other things: coastal developments and tourism, and pollution. So in this landscape, in the seascape, what we're trying to do is to understand where attention needs to be directed to deal with especially the illegal fishing. So there are 3 focus areas for the project. The middle one is where we're trying to put together this plan for an integrated approach for managing coastal law enforcement. And this will involve the spatial monitoring and reporting tool, but it'll also hopefully involve bringing in Skylight as well. or a Skylight EarthRanger hybrid, so that we can actually monitor fishing boats in the nearshore area. So that's a work in progress, and this is an important place for us to work, and we've done some training initially. We've got teams out there. We're working with communities. We also have a new WCS program, and we've been training staff to use Smart Mobile. So we're taking baby steps, but hopefully in the next few years we'll have a fully fledged integration of EarthRanger, Skylight, and Smart. So in the future, what are we going to be doing? So the priorities for us, some of the priorities for us, are first of all to reduce the confusion among practitioners. Practitioners have got all these tools that are available, and some of them are confused about which one they should be using. And hopefully the information that's been presented in our conference this week can be shared with the practitioners so that they can understand there's a whole toolbox, there's a whole array of tools that are available to address problems that they may have, and particular special use cases. So we heard in the Internet of Conservation, there's a range of different tools available to choose from. So we want to reduce that confusion. We want to also refine the tools for monitoring MPAs in the nearshore environment. We also want to get managers more engaged with using the information. So the Smart Partnership is creating a new management training manual. It's in review, and hopefully that will be available very soon. We also want to make learning more accessible, and to address that need, we're developing a new online learning platform, and this is also in progress. Thank you. So I'm going to pass the podium to Xia. Over to you.
Cool. Hi, everyone. For those that don't know me, my name is Xia. I'm from Panthera, and I'm based in Zambia. So I'm going to just give a bit of an overview of how we're using SMART and EarthRanger together. Let me just try and get rid of the... Hang on. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, how we're using it together, and what we would like to see for the future as well for this integration. So where I'm based in Zambia, one of the big sites that we work in is Panthera, along with lots of our partners, is the Greater Kafue ecosystem. The national park itself is in the dark green and is over 22,000 kilometres squared. And with the game management areas is over 65,000 kilometres squared in area. So it's a huge area to protect. We have several partners that you'll see on the next page that are working all together in this landscape. We all have patrol teams that integrate together in SMART. And they're actually all on both SMART and EarthRanger as tools. SMART was introduced into the landscape in 2018, and EarthRanger was introduced in 2021. So for SMART across the landscape, as of end of last year, there was at least 40 plus patrol teams across the landscape that were using SMART. So that's 40 teams out basically at any one time that had smart mobile devices collecting general patrol information, where they're patrolling, what they're seeing, all of that type of thing on the ground. SMART was being used for all of the operational planning, long-term trend analysis, seasonal analysis, and reporting within the GKE. So all that data every month coming from the national park and the game management areas would come into a centralized hub, where the analysts would look at it and decide where the patrols have been, where the hotspots are for poaching, that kind of thing, and then decide on where the patrols should go for the next months, for the next season, that type of thing. So yeah, where the yellow stars are where we have smart hubs across the landscape. So each one of these is basically, for those of you that have used SMART, has a laptop and someone debriefing and where the patrols come back to every month. And then that all gets compiled into one master database, essentially. And then moving into 2021, we carried on using SMART, but we also added EarthRanger. So with all of these partners together under a USAID project, we implemented EarthRanger into Kafue National Park and the surrounding game management areas. I think like a lot of us here, we had a lot of different technologies that we were using in the park. And so to bring all of that into one place as a collective group of organizations, we were able to, it was basically overnight, bring all those tools together essentially and have this displaying on top of our patrol information. So we had things, like our inReaches, our animal collars, our vehicles, our aerial assets, all feeding into one system. EarthRanger mainly being used for real-time situational awareness within the park and within the GMAs, and to coordinate our movements and any rapid response across the area. So that's where this talk about integration comes in, which was really exciting for us in Kafue. So we basically took a step back and looked at both of the tools. We'd been using SMART since 2018 in Kafue. We've got data in there for years, really good data in there for years, lots of data that we're using on and on, year on year. And then with the addition of EarthRanger, so we took a step back and thought, how can we use these tools together to get the most out of the data that we're collecting and to better provide resource protection to the areas that we're trying to provide that protection to. So we took a step back and we kind of listed out the things that we thought each of the tools were very strong at, to help us get the best picture of what we can get for the landscape. And now this is where I say to lots of people that are asking, which tool should I use? Should I be using SMART? Should I be using EarthRanger? This is where I kind of look at, okay, well, both of them have their strengths, and I think you've heard this throughout the talks. Both of them have their strengths, both of them have their weaknesses, but if we use tools like this together, we can make a really strong platform for our decision making. For both of them, there's some overlap, like you'll see. So the pre-patrol operational planning and debriefing, we do that in both. But things like real-time situational awareness, our coordination of our assets, real-time visualization, fire management, etc., all of that is in EarthRanger, I think as most of us know here. And then SMART really comes into play really strongly for our long-term trend analysis, our seasonality trend analysis, and quite importantly, our suspect information gathering, that type of thing, our networking, and as Panthera for us in the landscape, monitoring the biodiversity is more the biodiversity monitoring type work that we do in the landscape. So we've found a really great way to use both tools together in the landscape, which has really been amazing for us. And so we've been one of the big drivers of trying to find a way to get these tools to work together, so we're not duplicating effort, and so that, we're getting as most out of the information we have available at our fingertips as possible. So just for any new sites wondering, how can we make this work for us? A few considerations, this is just a few of many, but when thinking is to assess your desired workflow, including data types and desired outputs, metrics and information. So what is it that you're actually trying to get out of your data? What data are you collecting? Assess your internet connectivity and what assets you're having, because that will help you decide, which tool might be right for you, or if both tools are right for you. Decide which data collection devices you're using in the field. So for us, now in Kafue, in the greater Kafue ecosystem, we've got both Smart Mobile and ER Mobile running. So that's why this integration is also fantastic, because we've got both tools running and we're hoping to end it up in one centralized place. Assess the human activity, human capacity to run the systems. Obviously, combining tools like this and creating this monster system is a lot of work, and it's a big job. So I probably wouldn't recommend this to someone who might not have such a large capacity at site. So again, it's just looking at what you have available to you and to your project and deciding if something like this is feasible. And then the bottom one, which Oliver talked about, is reviewing the SMART data model and the ER report structure for compatibility. This has been made improved quite a lot recently with the developments with SMART and ER, and the combining across SMART Connect and things where the data models pull from SMART into EarthRanger, which makes a big difference. But it's just something to consider when you're setting up a site like this. Cool. So I just have a few diagrams, I think, just to break it down a little bit for people to show what it looks like practically on the ground, where we are today and where we would like to be, and how we hopefully will get there. So this is kind of how it's happening now, a little bit. So this top one is your patrol starts in Smart Mobile. Regardless of the priority observation from the field, it's entered into your Smart Mobile. You carry on with your patrol in your Smart Mobile. And then it obviously goes through Smart, conducted, debriefed, and your nice reports are created. At this point in time, if it becomes a priority incident from the field, the teams would call it in on InReach or on their digital radios, and it then gets imported into EarthRanger. And then you just need to cross-check to make sure the systems are the same. So obviously that's how it's working now. It's, as you can see, quite cumbersome. There's a lot of like human needing to check here and check there. So I think going forward, we will carry on having teams collecting in Smart Mobile, but for those teams that are collecting in EarthRanger Mobile, what's really exciting now is that it can be collected in EarthRanger Mobile, carry on throughout the whole of EarthRanger, and then hopefully get pushed directly into Smart. So we can still do all of our reporting, we can still do all of our park-wide and landscape-wide analysis in the one system without having to pull out from both places or duplicate effort in both sides. So this is what we're working on. This is what me and my team are working on quite closely with the EarthRanger team, which is really exciting. And then this is also readily available at the moment, which is great. So non-patrol incidents in Smart and EarthRanger. So if you have an incident called into the control room, that incident can be entered into EarthRanger as a report, and then Gundi will push that incident from EarthRanger into Smart. Again, with the combined idea that you would then have all of your information in one place in your Smart database, which is really helpful for all of us that have been using it for years and have chosen that as our tool of choice for our reporting and for our feedback to governments and that type of thing. And then the other way flow that Oliver already touched on, which is the information going from Smart into your EarthRanger, if that's something that's relevant to you. And then just quickly looking at the challenges, and my plea for people in this room is that we have been struggling a little bit with this integration because we need people to test it for us and with us. At the moment, it's been myself and a team of a couple other people that, we have very specific use cases. And we've been, trying to develop it based on those use cases. But we would like to get a larger scope of use cases from the community so that when we create these integrations, we know that we're creating these to service the wider community. So I just implore anyone who's here and has ideas, has thoughts, maybe you're already using it, maybe it's something that you would like to use going forward and have a great idea of how you'd like it to work, to please reach out to us. Because then we can include that in our planning and in our thoughts going forward with the softwares. And then the big one is, testing that out. These things can only be released to public once they have been tested and tried, and we know the bugs aren't there, and we know that it's working nice and smoothly for you. So we just need more people to test. So if anyone in this room has capacity for that, that would be amazing. If so, please reach out to either the EarthRanger team or any of us here, I think. Cool, I think we're doing questions at the end.
Thank you very much, Xia. So just to finish off here, my name's Luke Miller, and I'm from the Luangwa Conservation Programme, which is a partnership between the Frankfurt Zoological Society and the Department of National Parks and Wildlife in northeastern Zambia. And we're home to the only population of black rhinos in the country. So I'm just going to give us a very specific use case of how we are using Smart, Tableau, and EarthRanger within North Luangwa's Rhino Monitoring Unit, and how we are essentially leveraging the strengths of these tools to maximize the management capacity on the rhinos, but also on the Rhino Monitoring Unit officers themselves. So I'm just going to dive into it, wrong way, sorry. I'm just going to dive into it straight away. And the easiest way to do this is to look at how our Rhino Monitoring Unit, how the data flows within our Rhino Monitoring Unit. So essentially, SMART is utilized as our master database. So this is where we collect, verify, and store all of our data. So there's no data duplication. So all of our information is inputted directly into SMART. We then pass this information onto Tableau, where we can present it to management in a really professional and effective way. And And then finally, through the Smart EarthRanger integration, this data is also viewable on EarthRanger, so we can take advantage of those really brilliant real-time capacities of that. So how does this work in the field? And it's quite vague here, but basically all of our teams are deployed with a smart mobile device, and they fill out all relevant information when they're in the field, be that a rhino sighting, spore sighting, whatever. And at the end of their shift, these phones are then brought into the rhino monitoring control room, where they're downloaded and processed by one of our senior commanders. What this system really ensures, and what I really like about it, is that all of our data is cleaned and checked for accuracy, which is really key when you're working with like high-profile species such as rhinos, because you don't want any inaccurate information, because that could lead to bad decisions. So what that ultimately means is that when it comes into Smart Desktop, all of our data which is being fed into management is accurate data. So using the queries function on Smart, this data is then passed over to Tableau, where we're able to produce our various reports and do dashboards and analyses. And then through the integration with EarthRanger through Smart Connect, all of the events are also viewable on EarthRanger as well, which is key. So what I'm going to do now is just go into the real specifics of exactly what strengths we're leveraging with each of these tools. So there's more than this, but these are the key ones, which is why we're deciding to use these 3 tools collectively. So with Smart, I'm a huge advocate for Smart Mobile, and one of the reasons for this is because of the really strong patrol metadata ties it has. So each event you have on Smart is linked to a variety of information. So that's really key. And for us, what we've really been able to take advantage of is the fact that all of our data is linked to particular patrol members, patrol leaders. And with this, we've been really able to dive into the performance of our Rhino monitoring unit officers. So we're able to use this smart data within our performance management structure in North Luangwa to get really in-depth informative information. So, for example, a particular officer, how many rhinos has he seen? Of these rhinos, how many of those rhinos were on the target list? Of those, how many did they get a confirmed photo of that? And that means it's becoming a really effective tool in managing our officers, understanding what support they require, what further training we need to focus on, which of our officers can move up within our structure. And that's a really, really big strength of Smart and of Smart Mobile. But now that we're using it to that extent, what's really key is that information is accurate. Because without that information being accurate, we're going to be making bad decisions based on bad data. So what I really like about the system, and even though it is quite clunky, is that because we manually process that data, it really ensures that we have strong SOIs in place, and our senior commanders are basically checking every single track we import into Smart, every single rhino sighting, so that we know that this rhino has been sighted, we know that this rhino sighting has been confirmed or not, and we also know that that information which is going into the Rhino monitoring units officers' performance is accurate and fair, and it's painting a true picture, which is really key for us. So that's a quick overview of Smart, and we're just going to discuss how that works with Tableau. And it's worthwhile mentioning that we are aware that Tableau will be discontinued in 2025, but we're going to work with EarthRanger and with Ecoscope to ensure that we're able to reproduce the same dashboards and reports which we can now use in Tableau. So we have a variety of reports which we create, be it shiftly, monthly, yearly reports, which contain all the information which we believe is essential for management to access. So this is all from our Smart data. And for example, we'll show patrol tracks so we can identify gaps in coverage, or which rhinos we have and haven't seen, so therefore we can prioritize certain ones going forwards. And then also what I spoke about previously about these Rhino monitoring unit officer performance reports as well, which are typically done on a yearly basis, which contain all the key metrics. And it's going beyond the simple ones of like okay, how many kilometers did they patrol, how many days were they in the field, but going really deep into what I was discussing earlier about what we believe are the key performance indicators showcasing a good or bad rhino monitoring unit officer. And then something which we've worked on recently and which we're really excited about is these interactive dashboards. So bringing the data into your manager's fingertips and allowing them to interact with that. So some of the dashboards which we've recently created gives us an overview of our population. So our managers can have a quick snapshot of how many rhinos we have, what the dynamic is, how many males, how many females, but then also more specific ones to then look at individual rhinos to understand where we have sighted them in the past, when was the last sighting of them, and this helps us decide if we want to see that rhino, where can we deploy teams to focus efforts in that particular area. And that's really exciting, and with Ecoscope, I'm sure we'll be able to achieve similar things. Finally, I'm not going to spend too long on EarthRanger, as we are all EarthRanger users, and I'm sure we know its pros and cons. But for us, what's really key is how those events from SMART through the sync process come up into EarthRanger, so there is no data duplication, and we can view that alongside all of our other trackable assets on EarthRanger. Then something which we implemented in 2019 and the last few years has really taken off is our Sigfox network. So each of our rhino monitoring unit teams is deployed with a Sigfox tracker, which is very similar to your LoRa trackers, which means we know exactly where all of our officers are at all times, which is key for us. And we also deployed a number of rhino implants and foot collars, which are integrated onto EarthRanger as well, so we can see the rhino movement of some key individuals alongside of this. And then finally, what's so great about EarthRanger is it gives us a wider overview of the entire ecosystem. So looking at how the teams outside the rhino sanctuary are looking where they are, where the incidents or events are, so that we can make decisions within the rhino sanctuary to address that. So for example, there was a poaching incident near the rhino fence in the north, probably sensible to make sure we have teams in that area just to deter that threat going forwards. So that's a quick overview of what we've done, and I think we're now all open to questions from everyone else. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Luke. So we'll open for questions. Peter.
Luke, the question is for you on Sigfox. You say you know where your rangers are, but I would just want to know what's the frequency that you get data points of your rangers?
So we've set it up to be a 10-minute ping at the moment.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think that's depending on which Sigfox devices you use, and it's based on like battery life, and then you can make those decisions to change that to your desire. Yeah.
Denton?
So Xia, I just want to ask you from a collaboration perspective and getting so many partners together within that landscape, how did you overcome the hurdles of potential, like changing people's mindsets to be able to accept these different technologies?
No, that's a great question. I think it was kind of proof in the pudding to start with, and showing, that this one tool, which was smart to start with, really worked well. And it took a while to get to that point. It took maybe 3 years to get to the point where I think everyone accepted to use it. And then with the incoming of EarthRanger and other partners potentially using that over this or whatever it might be, that's why this integration is important. To still get that data so people can still have their own data sets but have it combined in one place.
Just to add to that, in Cambodia, we've got a situation where there's a lot of capacity in technology, and there's a lot of young people wanting to use it, and there's a hunger, really. So we're trying to harness this hunger by offering them things to learn and to apply. So it's just amazing when you go to meetings involving discussions about protected area management, you get people with a range of different skills. And so we have a lot of people with smart skills, EarthRanger skills now developing, and they already have existing skills in other technologies and tools such as GIS and camera traps. So I think we've got a really bright future in Cambodia, not just in Cambodia, but also in other countries like Thailand and Malaysia and Indonesia too. There's a lot of interest in these tools and in bringing them together to solve problems. Rich?
I don't know if this is just for Xia or anybody else who's using or considering using the EarthRanger mobile app at sites where the EarthRanger and SMART are being used together. What's the reason for using the EarthRanger app, which is still sort of in the early stages, rather than using SMART Mobile, which is kind of a mature app already, when you have an integration between the two systems?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think this always comes back to Denton's question of just some partners prefer to use specific tools. And so I think, yeah, that's your answer basically.
I'll just add to that as well. Like us going forwards, like this is just for Rhino monitoring units, but for example, for our units like the IRU units who are based in connectivity, we can then take advantage of the fact that you can see those teams real time. And you don't need that patrol metadata that we require for Smart Mobile. So it's I think from our perspective, it's about looking at particular use cases, and even within an organization where it's more appropriate to use a different tool for that particular use case. So not trying to make Smart Mobile do everything, but looking at where EarthRanger Mobile strengths can be leveraged like that. So yeah, IRU would be an example for us where going forwards we might use EarthRanger Mobile.
In our case, in Colombia, in the Caribbean protected area with Lina, they asked us to use the Ranger app to follow the rangers because they want the heat map card. So that's what we are using the Ranger and using the water. So the tricky thing there is that they need to open, both applications, and that's what we are working on. Trying to tell them, okay, don't forget to, just open EarthRanger for me and then use my mobile.
To Oliver's presentation and what Tony was talking about, if the systems are integrated together, couldn't you just collect the data in Smart Mobile and then visualize it in EarthRanger in real time if you have a connection?
I don't know if the heat map can be from a Smart Mobile to EarthRanger. I don't know.
Here, currently we do not integrate tracks coming from SMART, but we are thinking on adding that integration in the near future. What can be done as of now is that we can integrate events that are collected via SMART Mobile, and we integrate those events into EarthRanger. Those can be combined with real-time devices. And for some cases, and as well in the Coralina, in the Colombia use case, is that there is connectivity for rangers that are working in the island. So they can follow the operations in real time, even when they are using the mobile devices. So there's no need for the radios in that specific use case. So I think those can be evaluated case by case. In that particular case as well. And there is another use case in Coralina where some other organizations or part of the authorities are going to be participating and they're not going to be collecting data. For example, I think the fire station, fire station will be using EarthRanger Mobile that will be sending data into EarthRanger, and we can integrate that data as well back to Smart Connect, and we can do that as well.
All right. Drew?
Yeah, just perhaps in defense of Smart Mobile, assuming that the integration is functional, my understanding is the alert data from mobile, which is event data passing through Connect, that is real time. So you can track. I think it's more. I would say if
position alerts.
If there's a system that's already in place and there's already like a framework for using that system, all you need to do is turn on the alerts feature in a place where there is connectivity, and then you can send pings, which are alerts, at any time frame that you want or in any time frame that you want, and it's the same. It's effectively the same real time tracking, and it's not tracks. It's just breadcrumbs.
Great. All right. Well, thanks very much for coming to our session today. And if you have any questions for the speakers, we'll adjourn to the tea room and answer your questions. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, speakers.